43, that is when it started to be a retreating or receding glacier. You can see ice explorers coming down off the glacier there. That's where we were. And then as we're coming here, as we get around this curve, you can see more glaciers, more mountains on the opposite side. And this glacier that's coming down the valley between the two mountains here, that's Dome Glacier. So I was referring to the glacier earlier that would have been coming all the way down this valley and probably connected with the Athabasca to cover this valley. That's it there. And the mountain to its left, where you can see a capped glacier on it, that is Mount Snow Dome. And that is a significant mountain for this area, as it is an important water source. It has 3 watersheds. It is the only proven triple continental divide, and that is on Mount Snow Dome, that one on the left there. Now that means that if you went up there with a jug of water and poured the water on the apex of that mountain, some of the water would trickle down, finding its way into the rivers, streams, and waterways, and make its way out to the Atlantic Ocean. Other water would find a different path and eventually make its way out to the Pacific Ocean. And yet the third water path would come down here into the Sunwapta Lake, which is feeding into the Sunwapta River, which is the river beside us on the left. And it is flowing north to Jasper. And it would continue to flow north. It eventually makes its way, connects up with the the Athabasca River, and then into the Columbia River, and eventually, not the Columbia, I'm distracted here, I don't know what they're looking at, but into the Mackenzie River, and eventually out to the Arctic Ocean. That's the third watershed. So it is a very important source of water. It helps provide water to agricultural industry across Canada as it makes its way east. It also is an important source for the forestry industry into British Columbia, to the west of us, and also to the north. They forget that it's 50 kilometers an hour up until this point, so it's not that I just like to drive slow. And it's also an important water source for the mining and oil industry to the north. Now you might notice some big boulders here on either side of the highway. We are driving through a park called the Shooting Gallery. And it gets its name because of the boulders that come shooting down from the mountain on our right, which is Wilcox Peak. Now, boulders here and rock slides in general off of mountains happen as a natural thing because of a freeze-thaw cycle. Now, especially here, we have a lot of sedimentary rock, and you can see layers of it. And as you're looking up to the right, you might see some parts where it looks like it's been sawed off. What happens is water gets into the crevices on the mountain and in between the rocks, and of course in the colder temperature it freezes. And as it freezes, water, we know, expands. And as it expands, it will make that crack bigger. And then in the spring it will thaw and it'll be fine. But as it continues annually, and sometimes more than once in a year, water gets in, freezes, thaws, freezes, thaws. That's the cycle. And eventually the crack will get big enough that it will just let loose a piece of the mountain or a boulder. Now we thank Parks Canada, of course responsible for everything within the park, in the sense that they contract rock scalers. And they do monitor the mountains in the same way they do monitor for avalanche dangers in the wintertime, because this road is open in the winter, but there's no services along the way. But they monitor this, and if they deem it necessary, they will contract rock scalers to come out. And it happens generally every couple of years along the parkway in different sections. If they determine that there's a piece of the mountain that is about ready to come down, then they'll just give it a little nudge and send it on its way. Now, of course, they do close the road so that we're not just coming by and it takes us out on the way by. They do the same thing in the winter. They monitor for the avalanche, they're monitoring the snowfall, and when they feel that there is a potential for an avalanche that may come onto the highway itself, they will close the road and cause the avalanche to bring it down. Now as we climb Tangle Hill here, we are making our way to the skywalk. It's going to come into view. Isn't it funny just the changing weather? One moment it's blue sky, now it's a little overcast. It may change while you're out there, but you're going to get a little bit of a view of the skywalk here on the left as we're approaching. This is where you're going to get to go out and walk. I don't want you to be worried about that you carry everybody that's on this bus, because if we had 3 fully loaded Ice Explorers that we were just on, we could put them all out there and it would hold us up. Out on that apex, you're one of the first people coming out today. Out on the apex of that skywalk, you are 918 feet above Sunwalk.